as they were breaking up, they actually did break up, and they were still, seeing it, but he was still the primary care of the children mostly. And then she took the children and made a complaint to the police that he was abusive, and he's still going through a battle now to try and get access to his children.
Be manly and the legends of humanity. Welcome to the fellowship of honourable men and women role models for boys and men, because you have the power to be a man in all its glory.
G'day, Damien Andrews here for Be Manly and the Legends of Humanity. I wanted to talk to you about dating and how to avoid getting into some really serious issues. I know I deal with a lot of people that actually, after a relationship has broken up, they've got into a lot of problems with the court system, with breakups, where things get really, really nasty. And they say trial is war. It very much is so. And the first thing that goes out of the window in a war is the truth. And you find that a lot of people get themselves into a situation where they're having very big arguments and not physical arguments in front of each other, but disputes with lawyers, and there's custody battles over children. It goes on and on and on. And for guys, this is particularly challenging because often they're stuck without the children. Someone that I worked with recently has had that situation where he was the primary carer of the children, and then as they were breaking up, they actually did break up, and they were still, seeing it, but he was still the primary care of the children mostly. And then she took the children and made a complaint to the police that he was abusive, and he's still going through a battle now to try and get access to his children. He's got a little bit of access, but nothing compared to that full-time access that he had and looking after the children. And speaking with the officers of the court, there's a number of factors that they look at there, and particularly they highlight, and this is from the court, the magistrate's court here in Victoria anyway, they highlight that men are physically stronger, they're more intimidating, they're more powerful, and they deal with that way. So they deal with the situation in that manner, taking the assumption that men are, that there is a greater risk there from the men because of those reasons. Is that fair? Well, that's a debate for another, or discussion for another time. But what I wanted to address here is having a look at those relationships that go sour, and how do you avoid that situation from getting really nasty. There's a really, really simple solution to this. Out of the people that are on the planet, there are certainly different types of personalities. There's different type of emotional intelligence. And certainly there are some people that just behave nicer than other people. And of all the people that I've spoken with, certainly, and I know from my experience as well, I've dated some people, gone out with some people that probably weren't the best in their behavior. And that was always present at the beginning. And one thing to remember too when you're looking at that is that people are always on the best behavior at the beginning. So when you meet someone and start dating them, you're going to get the best behavior that there is. After that, it goes downhill. And if someone, when you first start dating them, has some behaviors that are questionable, you can pretty much guarantee that it's going to get worse. And this is where, for a guy, you can put yourself in extreme risk by dating someone as much as you might be excited and have all this passion running. But if you think it through, if that person is, maybe having a yelling fit at you every now and then, or just behaving in a disrespectful way, let's put it that way. Let's say, you want to be dating someone at the very beginning who behaves in a respectful way. And that goes for women too. But we're talking about being manly here and what men need to avoid. And the risk is greater at the other end when it goes sour, when we turn into a war. And then there's that whole element of truth that goes out the window. So you need to be really careful. So how do we do that? Well, this is where it's important when you're paying attention to that sensitivity component that you have as a man. You notice these things at the beginning. From my perspective, the women that I dated that turned out to be real shockers near the end of the relationship, they had those behaviors at the very beginning. So if you notice someone from that perspective who's not behaving in a respectful way, what you want to be doing is not sticking your yu-yang in there. Just quite bluntly, don't do it. Or if you're going to do that, just don't make it into a longer relationship. But just be very, very careful from that perspective. So look and date. And the thing is, that's the other side of it. There are so many women out there, so many wonderful women that are respectful, kind, thoughtful, considerate. And they also like to have sex. So date those women. That's where you want to be looking at. So start at the very beginning. Pay attention at the very beginning. How do they behave? Will Ferrell made the joke that if you want to test what someone's like, give them slow internet and see how they cope with that. I mean, but there's a whole bunch of things you can do. If you turn up late, so for some reason, have a valid reason, but if you turn up late, how do they behave? Look for those little traits of, are they behaving in a respectful manner? And if you got that at the start, well, then you've got a pretty good chance, because remember, a relationship or a person's behavior in a relationship is usually the best when you first meet them, and it goes downhill from there. So just be mindful. As a guy, you are exposed to a tremendous amount of risk should a relationship go sour. Certainly if you've got children together, been married, spent a long time together, that there can be real problems there. So when looking for someone that you want to date and spend time with, have a very, very good look at their, or pay attention to their behaviours at the very beginning. Are they behaving in a respectful way? And again, it applies both sides as well. For women, and look for guys that behave respectfully. But here at Be Manly, we're talking about guys that are respectful, we're confident, kind, compassionate, sensitive, and intelligent. So this is Damien Andrews for Be Manly and the Legends of Humanity.
Before you go, you're invited to continue the Be Manly and the Legends of Humanity journey. Subscribe to our YouTube and become a patron, where you can become a courageous crusader, a wise warrior, a daring dynamo, and even an ascending avenger. Here you'll find all the tools to become a man in all its glory. We're honoured to walk side by side with you on this extraordinary adventure. Together, we're unleashing the full power of manhood, creating a better world for everyone.